I welcome you to the Messiah channel. Uh, Today I'm going to do something that is different, focusing our discussion on the issue of moving to Africa, repatriating to Africa. And one of the members of the channel asked me or suggested to me if I can do a discussion on the issue of repatriating to Africa, moving to Africa. We are talking about people outside of Africa who plan to move to Africa, repatriating to Africa, moving to Africa, going back to the motherland. It is not the focus of the channel. The focus of the channel is preparing the world for the arrival of the Messiah. It's part of the plan of the Messiah to gather his people to the land promised to their forefathers. And so I want to begin by saying that moving to Africa, um, just like that, is not the end time movement as stated in the Bible, because that movement in the Bible will be dictated by the Spirit of the Lord, who will give his go ahead for the movement back to the land promised to the Hebrew Israelites. Nonetheless, I would say that there will be a time when people will be moving to the continent of Africa. I'm talking about black and white people, and they will be moving to Africa, and they will move into Africa because Africa will offer them better opportunities. This is prophecy. This is a revelation given to me. And today, my discussion is not related to prophecy. My discussion is a response to someone who suggested that I do a discussion on moving to Africa. And this is relevant at the time when the subject of moving to the motherland is on the hearts and among the plans of so many people who are outside of Africa who want to move to Africa. And I'll start by talking about some of the things that you should consider in your plans moving to Africa. The first one is peace and safety. Is that nation you are moving to peaceful? And are you going to be safe moving to that country? So we are talking about two things. We are talking about the peace environment in that country, and when you are in the country, we are also talking about the safety issues, and particularly looking at where you will be located, because it makes a difference where you are located in a particular country, where you reside in a particular country. I'll give you an example. If you go to Lagos, that is or Abuja, capital of Nigeria, or Accra, the capital of Ghana, or if you go to any other city in Africa, it will depend upon where you rent a house or you own a house. And so you have to have analysis of the safety environment where you are going to stay and where you are going to do business. And the second thing you need to consider is the business opportunities available in that country. In general, when we're talking about business opportunities, we are talking about how you are going to survive economically, because you'll be thinking about employment. You want to have a job in the country where you are going to. Probably you are a professional, you are a doctor, or you are a nurse, or you don't have a profession, or you have a profession, but you are not there to seek for employment. And these are some of the things that will make the movement different when we're talking about different people. Employment opportunities in Africa are limited, but at the same time, there are so many business opportunities because Africa is an emerging market, is a new market. There are so many business opportunities. The difficulty is that the native Africans, they may have the ideas, but they may not have the capital and the resources to embark upon that kind of venture. So the business opportunities are there in Africa, and so the advantage will occur. The advantage will favor those coming from outside who have the resources and the capacity to do those type of businesses. Business ventures are many. Unfortunately, foreigners are able to tap into those opportunities even when the natives are not aware that those opportunities exist. I will be leaving some videos in the description box, and you have to go through the videos, and then the channels that discuss issues related to repatriation of people to Africa. So I'll be leaving some videos in the description box. So the next thing you need to consider is land and housing. We're talking about accommodation issues. It depends upon your own agenda. You can go from the most expensive to the least expensive, depending upon how long you want to be in Africa. And in that case, you'll be thinking about your accommodation. We're talking about hotel accommodation, and it will be very expensive to be in a hotel all the time. And so it will make sense to have an alternative. The alternative will be to rent, and you have to be able to have the resources to rent, and also know about conditions about renting in African nations. One particular issue in renting is how much you have to put down to rent an apartment in the country that you are going to. I'll use Ghana as an example. It's customary for landlords to demand 1 year or 2 years advance payment in renting houses or apartments to tenants. It's against Ghana law to demand that much, but um, the law doesn't work because the demand for housing in Ghana is high. And so in Ghana, if you are renting an apartment or a house, it's customary for the landlord to demand 2 years in advance. And I remember in the United States, you pay 1 month deposit, and then you move in, and then you pay month by month until you move out of the apartment. In Ghana, that is different. You would be required to pay 1 year in advance, and in some cases 2 years in advance. And the landlords do that it's because it's business. Because if you pay somebody 2 years in advance, he has money to build other apartments or to use it to do other business. And the next option would be to um, buy a house instead of renting. But the opportunities um, will not be um, available to people who don't have money to buy a house. And so the next option would be to get a land, and then when you get the land, then you build um, your own house. The advantage in building your house, um, of course, in anywhere in the world, particularly in Africa, is that you build it to satisfy your taste. Secondly, you buy the land um, where you are satisfied that you want to stay. Because if you buy an already existing house, you are stuck with the location of the house. But if you buy um, a land and then you build, you can choose where you want to build a house, and also the style of house that you want to build. And you can also make a lot of um, what's the word to use? You will minimize the cost because you can build to your own taste, and you can also build at your own pace. And some people build a house, they start, and then when they get money, they complete it. Some start by doing the foundation, and when they get money, they build to the lintel level, and they roof it, and then at the time when they have money, they are able to do other things. And it's customary for people even to move to their own completed homes so that they will have time to do the completion of the house at their own pace. So I recommend that if your intention is to live in Africa, the best way is to have your own accommodation. And I believe that buying a land to build a house provides you that opportunity. But I have to caution you that land is not free in Africa. In some countries, individuals control land. In Ghana, the chiefs control land, individuals control land. And I'll caution people to be very careful when they are buying land so that they don't buy litigation, so that they don't get exposed to people who will be scamming them with regard to giving them lands which are subject to litigation. We have land issues in Ghana, particularly in the capital of Ghana. It's not the case in most parts of Ghana. It's safe to buy land in most parts of Ghana. But if you are buying land in Accra, which is the capital, you have to be careful in the same way that you have to be careful when you are buying property anywhere in the world. One thing I want to let you know is that mortgage facilities are few in most African countries. In the United States, uh, you buy a house on a mortgage, and you take 15 years to pay, 30 years to pay. In most African countries, and Ghana is not an exception, um, you buy the house, you pay for it cash, and some people demand uh, dollars, and you build your house. The house is your own. Most people don't have mortgages at all. So the advantage is that anybody who has built a house in Ghana is likely somebody who doesn't owe anything on the house. He doesn't owe a bank. Everything is from his or her own pocket. You can also go to the bank to ask for loan to build, but it means you are subject to the conditions of the bank. So, in conclusion, I would say that land is very essential in Africa if you want to go and live in Africa permanently. Your your housing issue is very, very important. For transportation, there are public transport, but you also have to minimize on transportation. A lot of people go to Africa and they spend a lot of money on transportation because they will be relying on taxis. Nowadays, because of globalization, you have uh, Uber in some African countries, including Ghana, and we have public transportation is cheaper, and so it depends upon your pocket and your lifestyles. If you want to live big, it means you will spend big. If you want to live in a modest way, you will spend less, depending upon how much money you have in your pocket. There's another issue where you are coming from. You are going to Africa. You are coming to Africa. Where are you coming from? Is it from America? Are you coming from Europe? Are you coming from the Caribbean? Or are you from an African nation and you want to move to another African nation? That issue is relevant because where you are coming from, you are coming with some expectation. Somebody coming from America to Africa is coming with expectations, and somebody coming from Nigeria to South Africa, or South Africa to Ghana, or Cote d'Ivoire to um, Benin has expectations. So it depends upon where you are coming from. Standard of living in your country of origin is different from what exists in Africa, and you may have you will make a mistake in doing comparison based upon the standard of life that you are used to. In that respect, um, there will be misexpectation. You will have or misperceptions because what you are used to in your country of origin may not be available to the African nation that you are moving to. If you are moving from an African nation to an African nation, the conditions in the country of origin and the country of destination may be similar because of similar lifestyles and similar levels of economic development. But if you are coming from America, for example, to Nigeria or Ghana, um, the standard of living um, is different, the culture is different, and so you have to adjust to all those factors. Um, there probably will be a difference between the expectation of an American in Ghana and the expectation of a Nigerian in Ghana. a Nigerian moving to Ghana, I probably will consider the fact that electricity supply is better in Ghana than in Nigeria. And so that is a big deal to a Nigerian moving to Ghana. But for an American moving to Ghana, that is not a big deal. Because in America, people are not used to electricity shortages. You'll be surprised to experience electricity shortage in America for even 30 minutes. It's almost unheard of. That doesn't mean that when you go to an African country, electricity supply will be 24 hours. So people have alternatives, generators. Some people also have solar facilities in their homes so that they will have a constant supply of energy. It's easy to live in Africa. It's easy to adjust because adjustment comes with time. An African living in America will have some time to adjust. Even in the face of plenty, you will have time to adjust. And in the same way, an American going to Africa will have time to adjust and has to adjust to the conditions in the African country because no cultures are different. And here when we're talking about no cultures are different, it is another thing that you need to consider. You need to consider language barriers. So where are you coming from? Are you coming from an English-speaking country? And if you are going to Africa, then language barriers will be relevant. If you are an English-speaking person, then probably it will be convenient if you move to a nation that is English-speaking. Most African nations have English as the official language, but some of them have French as the official language, particularly in West Africa, where there are many countries that are French speaking, and I believe there are more French speaking countries in West Africa than English speaking countries in West Africa. And so, if you are an American, then countries like Gambia, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Nigeria probably will be an advantage. Whereas if you are coming from a French-speaking country, then Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon and Benin, Togo, Burkina Faso probably will be an advantage to you. Apart from the official language, most African countries have their own dialect, and it's not difficult to move around because most people will speak the official language, that is French or English, and they will also speak their native language. If you are in Ghana, most of the people speak the local language that is called the Twi, spelled TWI, and is spoken almost everywhere in Africa, and everywhere in Ghana. If you go to the eastern part of Africa, they have official language English. Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya, they speak English, but they also speak Swahili. And I don't think language should be a barrier at all. If you go to Rome, they say you do what the Romans do. It applies to Africa. You need to watch the culture of the people that you are going to live with. There are some do's and don'ts. And so you just have to learn the do's and don'ts, and so that you are able to adjust to the culture and the traditions of the place that you are going to. Some of the taboos may not make sense to you, but I will give you some practical example. In Ghana, in general, you don't use your left hand in greeting people. It's considered as an insult. So you don't do that. You don't use your left hand in 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 greeting people, and people expect you to greet them when you see them. Greeting is part of the tradition. So if you meet people, you greet them. Um, they will be more friendly to you, and so that if you are requesting anything, they will be able to assist you more. Um, in terms of tradition, I can see that there's globalization, and so the world is becoming one. Cultures are coming together. There's a global village, but at the same time, there are certain things that are too African, and it could be considered too conservative for somebody who is coming from outside Africa. Um, One example would be sharing of facilities. In Africa, man, woman are different, and the gender is only man and a woman. And so you will find it that people will not be too much accepting, and when you create the impression that you are a man but you're a woman, or you're a woman but you are a man. There are certain lifestyles that you can live where you are coming from, whether in America or Europe, but the people in Africa will frown upon that type of lifestyle. And so it's just respect. Right? If you go to the Middle East, the same thing. You go to the mall, you see a woman, you are a man, you don't stare at that woman. You don't do that. It's a Muslim culture, and so you respect that. If you go to Saudi Arabia, you respect that. I remember a case where an American student went to South Korea, and he was charged with a crime of spitting on the floor, and he was given lashes. And Americans didn't understand that. Why should a young man be given lashes, punished by being lashed, caned for the crime of spitting uh, on the floor? So people have their own cultures, nations have their own culture, and Africa is not different from any other country. I also want to emphasize that if you are coming from America or Europe or even Caribbean to Africa, um, you may have some misperception about Africa because the media reportage on Africa is so negative and racist. And I'll give you an example. Um, I knew a lady, a student in America from Maryland, an African American. She has a PhD, and she went to Ghana in 2019. The first time she went to any African country, and the first country she went to was Ghana. And I happened to be in Ghana at that time, 2019. So I met her somewhere, and the place I met her in Accra She was saying that that place was not different from New York City. So um, she was implying that, or inferring that the the streets, the layout and everything, where she was no different than New York. And she admitted that in her high school career, university education in America, she was brainwashed that Africans live on trees and there was no development. And so she was a little bit upset. She was frustrated because she has not been told the truth about Africa. And there were certain things that she found out that Africa was even more advanced or developed than what she was used to in the United States. And so you have to get rid of any perception or misperception that you have about the continent and the country that you are moving to. Otherwise, you make a mistake. Um, Nations in Africa are at a different pace of development. America got independence in 1776 and has over 2 years of history. African nations are young. Ghana, the first country to get independence from colonial rule, got independence in 1957, and Ghana is young. And so the level of development in Europe, in America, is not comparable to the level of development in Africa, in Ghana. At the same time, there are certain opportunities and advantages that you get in Africa, psychologically, emotionally, even health-wise. I've seen that people have recommended the atmosphere, the peacefulness, the exposure to an environment that is not stressful, low layback, low key, and there's no pressure, pressure, pressure of paying bills, car bills, cell phone bills, rent, property bills, and so many other things. That type of lifestyle um, is not in Africa. Somebody who is in Africa probably um, who has a house has access to water because he has a borehole. And if you have a borehole in Africa, it means that you have water supply for the rest of your life. I would say that. So you don't have to depend on water supply from the government. If you have your own car, you have an advantage. But even if you don't have your own car, there are public transportation. They may not be accessible or available as you are used to uh, in in Europe or in America. But people are living, and you will have the opportunity to live a life well lived. Personally, in the US, you, as a black man or black woman, you'll be exposed to pressure, and the pressure comes from police presence. The red light and the blue light when you are driving, and then they ask you a question, license, registration. When the American police officer um, commands you to produce your license and registration, it's more likely it will lead to something else. It can even lead to a jail term or a shootout. And this is one of the reasons why for black people in America, they are so happy when they move to Africa and they realize that in Africa there's no color line. There's no color line. You remember the American civil rights leader who wrote that the problem of the the 20th century in America was the problem of the color line. You don't have the color line in Africa, even though you probably will be a white person, but people don't discriminate against you because you're a white person. Neither do they discriminate against you because you are a foreigner. I want to take this opportunity to state that it's wrong for people to assume that Africans will cheat you because you are a foreigner, or black Africans will discriminate against a black American person. Africans don't hate um, black Americans. They don't. They welcome them. Some people might have had some bad experiences, but it will be a fallacy of overgeneralization in generalizing one episode, one experience somebody had in Tanzania, and then concluding that Africans don't like black Americans because a black American had an experience in Tanzania, and that should be applied to all parts of Africa. In Ghana, if you are buying something, it's based upon negotiation. There's no fixed price in some of the things that you buy on the market or in the store. You have to negotiate. And so you're a Ghanaian, you go to a Ghanaian store and you buy something, let's say in the local currency, 100 cedis. Um, the merchandise is supposed to be sold at 50 cedis, but somebody will try to sell it to you at double the price. And you have to be able to negotiate. Otherwise, they will take advantage of you. And they are taking advantage of you not because you are a foreigner, it's because you don't know how to negotiate. And so if you come to Ghana for the first time, you are from Europe, you are from the Caribbean, and you are buying something, and you need to be able to negotiate. If they say it is 200, you start by negotiating and say, I'll give you 100. And then you negotiate it down. Otherwise, they will take advantage of you. And people are taking advantage because they don't know the, the marketing strategies, and they don't know the market traditions. And so they will be cheated, unfortunately. It doesn't mean that Africans take advantage of foreigners, and that's not the case. It also happens that some will take advantage of you because they assume, for example, if you come from America, they assume you are rich. If you are a white person, they call you in Ghana Obroni. Obroni means a white person. And if you're a black American, some of them will still call you Obroni. They call you Obroni not necessarily because your skin is white, but because um, you speak a different language, you come from America, and they assume that you are rich. When I went to America, the first time I went to America, I thought that things are very cheap, they are lying on the ground in America. And I thought that farmers in America are the richest people. Um, I was surprised to see people who are homeless in America. It was a shock to me, given that America, um, what I saw in the news media was a rich country, tall buildings, and everybody should have access to food, everybody should have access to housing. But that is not the case of what I saw. In the same way, um, you go to an African country and you see the same thing. First of all, you may have your own prejudices based upon what you heard about Africa, but most of the time, the prejudices are wrong. They are wrong because if you watch some of the videos that are leaving in the description box, you will see testimony from Americans, Europeans, Caribbeans, the experiences in Africa, and the experience of other Africans who go to other African nations. So I'm calming your nerves, those who are interested in moving to Africa. A prophecy says that in the end of days, many people will be rushing to Africa to live there, black and white. That is prophecy. But when I'm talking about moving to Africa now, I'm just responding to a request from one of the members of the channel to do a short video on moving to Africa. So we talk about your choice, peace and security of that country being major to you, and then the business opportunities in that country. And even if the business opportunities are limited, it's likely that you coming from outside will have an advantage because you'll be able to create business opportunities, you'll be able to innovate and bring something new. There are so many foreigners, Indians, Chinese, and Americans, even Caribbeans. They are doing it, and they are making it in Africa. And I'm biased. I'm biased in the sense that I know Ghana more, and so my references will be based mostly on Ghana. Ghana has been the center of migration from many parts of the world, including even Africa. You see a lot of Nigerians moving to Ghana at the time of making this video. It shows you that Ghana has a comparative advantage. You also see Ghana being the center of attraction among African Americans because of certain historic factors and certain conditions that exist in Ghana. And so I will do a special video on Ghana in my next expose. But this is a general commentary on the decision to move to Africa. It depends whether you want to come and visit Africa or you want to come and live permanently in Africa. And many people that have come to Africa, a lot of them love the continent, and many leaders lived in Africa. They were born in Africa. Elon Musk is an example. Somebody born in South Africa. A British Prime Minister went to school in Africa, and W.E.B. Du Bois decided to leave America and come to Ghana, and he died in Ghana. And there's so many ways that many leaders, many people, celebrities, they have come and they have lived in Ghana, including the wife of Jamaican reggae singer Bob Marley. She went to Ghana and she has a home in Ghana. Bob Marley's wife, Rita Marley, decided to locate permanently in Ghana. So that is part one of my commentary on repatriating, moving to Africa, and exodus to Africa. This is part one. And I'll do a part two in my next video. I'm leaving some videos in the description box. You go through them and you can see the perspectives from people who have moved to the African continent. Thank you, and you will be welcome in Africa. Thank you very much.